on Twitter you posting a story about like your encounter with a stranger, or does that sound familiar? Like in the airport or something like?
So which one? I bet there's the lady that I met on a plane that had an abortion, and we had a long conversation. There's the young man that I met who saw my rosary hanging out of my pocket.
I think it was that one.
Yeah.
It's just such a beautiful. You are just such a beautiful witness, and
Praise the Lord.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know. We always ask people about their rosary story, or if they'd love to share a rosary story, or their first encounter. So anything you'd love to share.
Of course, yeah. So that one's a good one. I travel a lot. I travel about 125,000 miles a year across the world. I actually just booked my flights to London last night for the next couple of weeks. So if anybody's in England, look me up. I'll be there for a few days. But so I was coming back from a Steubenville conference last summer. And those conferences are great. As a ministry team member, it's an incredible opportunity to grow in community with your fellow team members and to speak to thousands of young people. But I was tired. It's just a long weekend at the end of a long summer. I was standing outside the Chili's in the Dallas airport in the A terminal, and one of the terminals. And my rosary was kind of dangling out of my pocket because I pulled my cell phone out of my pocket, and it just kind of like pulled it. And this guy saw it, and he walked over to me, and he just started talking. And he told me that he used to be Catholic. And so that sparked a conversation, because we've all heard that phrase before, right? Used to be Catholic. And he just started talking about the reason he disaffiliated. And I've like said nothing to him other than like, yes, like I'm Catholic. Like he just like opened up, because the rosary was this access point. And so he just started telling me how he left the church because he moved to a new town, and he started going to this parish, but nobody ever really like reached out to him and asked him his name. And he just felt really isolated within this community. And so he just kind of left the church. And so it always kind of reminded me is both like, the rosary is such a visibly Catholic thing. Like I don't hide it in my pocket anymore. Like there have been a few occasions, especially if I've like got a tight connection, where like I hold the rosary in my hand as I'm running across the airport, or I just like whip it out on a plane and just like have it next to me as I'm sitting there. And I'm usually in a window seat, so nobody's probably seeing me pray it anyway, but maybe they are. And like, what a witness. And I also have a Mary, the Immaculate Conception image, the miraculous medal keychain on my backpack. And I've had people stop me and ask, what is that? Hanging on the back of my backpack. And so it's just entry points to evangelization. I try to carry some holy cards in my backpack too, to always give to like an Uber driver or the flight attendant, usually with a tip too. I'm not one of those people that like doesn't tip. I give the money and the holy card. So thank you. But I think it's just a universal. This obviously looks holy, like it looks like something important, like, carrying it around can really be helpful.
Right. Oh, that's so beautiful. But I think it's so important to have those available and to share with everyone. So,
for sure.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So where are you flying off to this? And you said you were going to be going, is it London or?
Yeah, so I actually, if you go follow me on Instagram, I posted my October schedule right before we got started. So I'm in Richmond, Virginia this weekend, and I'm in Dallas, Texas, and Ohio next weekend. And then I'm in England from, I think the 16th is when I fly out. So I'll be there like the 17th to the 22nd. I've got a couple of events at schools. England is kind of an interesting place in we always worry about the American Catholic Church. I think the disaffiliation numbers were high, but they're even higher in England. And so there's really kind of a revolution of youth and young adult ministry happening in the school system there, which is really cool. So I get my airline miles because I get to fly that far, but also this incredible opportunity so it's an event on the Friday with school students in Manchester, and then the following week I've got an event with girls from Birmingham. And so I'm really, really excited about that, because it's a day all about authentic femininity and renewal of the feminine genius within these young ladies' hearts. And they've been hand selected to attend to kind of be the leaders within their school. So, and selfishly over the weekend I have off, so I'm going to go make my little C.S. Lewis, J.R.R. Tolkien pilgrimage.
Fun.
Get to go to Oxford and get to go to all the places that they went. And I've got some good friends that live in England too, so I get to hang out with them. So really, really a blessed, charmed ministry life that I have right now. And I credit it all to Jesus.
Yeah, that's so fantastic. Wow. That's so
the Lord provides.
Yes. So everyone is asking you to share the abortion.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it is on my Facebook page. You scroll down. I think I posted it earlier in the year, January, I believe, right around the March for Life. So oftentimes, because I travel so much, I get upgrades. And so I found myself in first class a couple summers ago and sitting next to this woman who there's certain people on planes just don't want to talk. I'm usually a person on a plane that doesn't want to talk. And she and I were just working away on our computers, kind of ignoring each other. And I X'd out of something, or I opened my screen, or she saw my daughter. She saw a picture of Rose as the background.
Oh, okay.
And we just started talking about kids. And then she just out of nowhere started sharing with me how earlier in her career, and she seemed like a pretty high powered, this woman was in finance, this woman was on Wall Street, this woman had influence. And here I am in my t-shirt and jeans, traveling back from a youth conference. So I just two people that never should have met and never should have had a conversation. And she just opens up to me about how she had this unplanned pregnancy and she felt that she had to have an abortion because of the way both maternity leave worked at her office. There was no way that she would have been able to make it work. And she just had a hopelessness when she found herself unexpectedly pregnant. And just in the time that we had sitting there, it was very much a ministry of presence on my part of just she wasn't looking for me to fuss at her. She wasn't looking for me to, give her the apologetics of why abortion is wrong. Mm-hmm. She just wanted to talk. And and again, total strangers, I think oftentimes the most incredible moments of connection can happen in airports and on airplanes, which are just these are way stations. These are not places where we're called to be for long, and they're not comfortable places, and yet the Lord can work in those places. And so we just had this incredible conversation where she told me about her regret and how every day she thinks about that child, and how every day that she carries that wound. And so I was able to kind of speak some love into that moment with her and just share with her that, obviously it is an incredible mistake, but that the Lord still loves her, and that the Lord, obviously, if she reaches out for forgiveness, that forgiveness is available to her. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm the kind of person that I'll wear my noise canceling headphones and a hat that says, do not bother me. I don't want to talk about airplanes. And yet Jesus often forces me to encounter people in these places, because I think it's a reminder. He's reminding me that, sure, I got paid to go speak somewhere, but the real ministry happens in personal, intentional encounters.
Right. And you're so eloquent and so well spoken. So I think sometimes for a person like me who is, I'm just a computer person, so it's difficult for me always to kind of have the right words to say in those moments. Do you have any suggestions for that? Or
it's the prayer, "Come Holy Spirit."
Yes.
And just people don't necessarily need eloquence. Again, the best conversations I've had are the ones that catch me off guard. It's never the talk that I've prepared and taken notes for, and I have a slide deck, and it's always just the spontaneous moments of conversation. And so the same way that I talk to my husband or I talk to a friend, I would hopefully be able to treat that stranger. And I'm just consistently praying, give me the words, Lord, "Come Holy Spirit." Don't mess this up, because if it's messed up, it's your fault. And it was great. I'm going to take credit for it. Right. Sometimes you have to be firm with Jesus.
That's so awesome. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess someone had another great question.
Yeah, there's some questions coming through. And look, guys, you're always welcome to shoot those questions to me on my Instagram. I'm happy to.
Yeah. I think Janie, she asked, how do we get younger people excited about the Rosary? Was that the question? Or
so the faith of the Rosary. I saw about the Rosary. Mm-hmm. I find the Rosary is actually one of the easiest ways for young people to pray, but they don't know how. It's just a matter of they need to recognize that it's okay if it's kind of boring, and it's okay if it's rote and repetitive. And then I've often found, especially with Eucharistic adoration, so with the Rosary, and it happened kind of on here, sometimes you don't know where to look when you're praying the Rosary, or if you close your eyes, at least I know when I close my eyes, I fall asleep. That's how I go to sleep at night, is praying a Rosary, and I usually only ever get past the second decade. So maybe incorporating another form of prayer, whether it's music, whether it's putting them in front of the Blessed Sacrament, whether it's doing it as a group and each kid gets to take a decade. It says in Christus Vivit, Pope Francis says we should never underestimate the ability of young people to engage in contemplative prayer. And I think the Rosary is a great access point to contemplative prayer, because it is supposed to be something where you just kind of lose yourself in the repetitiveness. And so that's the way to do it. Do it with them, teach them how to do it, and then maybe engage them with other things that can help them do that.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's wonderful advice. And I know everyone, we will share Katie's Instagram handle and just